Alright, this is Chapter 3 of the Unwind Experience. The party is big, the party is expensive, the party has been planned for years. There are at least 200 people in the country club's grand ballroom. Lev got to pick the band, he got to choose the food, he even got to select the color of the linens, red and white, for the Cincinnati Reds, and his name, Levi Jedediah Calder, is stamped in gold on the silk napkins for people to take home as a remembrance. The party is all for him. It's all about him, and he's determined to have the best time of his life. The adults at the party are relatives, friends of the family. His business, his parents' business advocates, but at least 80 of the guests are Lev's friends. They are kids from school, from church, and from the various sports teams he's been on. Some of his friends had felt funny about coming, of course. I don't know, Liv, they all said. It's kind of weird, I mean. What kind of present am I supposed to bring? You don't gotta, you don't gotta bring anything, Lev told them. There are no presents at a tithing party. Just come and have a good time. I know I will. That's what Lev sounds like. And he does. He asks every girl he invited to dance, and not a single one turns him down. He even has people lift him up in a chair and dance around him, around the room, because he has seen them do that at a Jewish friend's bar mitzvah. True, this is a very different kind of party, but it's also a celebration of him turning 18, so he deserves to get lifted up in a chair too, doesn't he? Lev finds that the dinner is served far too soon. He looks by his watch to see that 2 hours has already gone by. How could it have gone so quickly? Some people grab the microphone and, holding up glasses of champagne, they start making toasts to Lev. His parents give a toast. His grandmother gives a toast, and uncle he doesn't know gives a toast. To Lev. It's been a joy to watch you grow into a fine young man you are, and I know in my heart that you'll do great things for everyone and touch this world. Who is that? Is that his parents? That's his parents. It feels wonderful and weird for so many people to say so many kind things about him. It's all too much, but in some strange way, it's not enough. There's got to be more. More food, more dancing, more time! Lev is he wants more. They're always bringing out the birthday cake. Everyone knows the party ends once the cake is served. Why aren't they bringing out the cake? Can it really be 3 hours into the party? Then comes one more toast. It's a toast that almost ruins the evening. Of Lev's many brothers and sisters, Marcus has been the quietest all evening. It's unlike him. Lev should have known something was going to happen. Lev, at 13, is the youngest of 10. Marcus, at 28, is the oldest. He flew halfway across the country to be here at Lev's tithing party, and yet he's barely danced, or spoken, or been a part of any of the festivities. He's also drunk. Lev has never seen Marcus drunk. It happens after the formal toasts are given. When Lev's cake is being cut and distributed, it doesn't start as a toast. It starts as a moment between two brothers. How does he sound when he's drunk? Congrats, you bro, Marcus says, giving him a powerful hug. Lev can smell the alcohol on Marcus's breath. Today you're a man, sort of. Their father, sitting at the head table just a few feet away, lets out a nervous chuckle. Thanks, sort of, Lev responds. He glances at his parents. His father waits to see what's coming next. His mother's pinched expression makes Lev feel tense. Marcus stares at Lev with a smile that doesn't hold any of the emotion a smile usually comes with. What do you think all of this is? He asks Lev. Oh no, who is that? That's Marcus? What do you think all of this is? He asks Lev. It's great. Of course it is. All these people here for you. It's an amazing night. Amazing. Yeah, says Lev. He's not sure where this is going, but he knows it's going somewhere. I'm having the time of my life. Damn right, the time of your life. Gotta wrap up all those life events and all those parties into one. Birthdays, weddings, funeral, and then he turns to their father. Very efficient, right, Dad? Ooh, that's enough. Their father says quietly. Oh, that's enough. But it only makes Marcus get louder. What? You're not allowed to talk about it? Oh, that's right. This is a celebration. I almost forgot. Lev wants Marcus to stop, but at the same time he doesn't. Mom stands up and says in a voice more forceful than Dad's, Marcus, sit down! You're embarrassing yourself! By now, everyone in the banquet hall has stopped whatever they were doing and turned into the unfolding family drama. Marcus, seeing as he has the room attention, picks up someone's half-empty glass of champagne and holds it high. Here's to my brother, Lev, Marcus says, and to our parents, who have always done the right thing, the appropriate thing, who have always given generously to charity, who have always given 10% of everything to our church. Hey, Mom, we're lucky you and your kid had 10 kids instead of 5. Otherwise, we'd end up having to cut Lev off at the waist. Gasps from all those assembled. People shaking their heads. Such disappointing behavior from an eldest son. Now Dad comes up and grabs Marcus's arm tightly. You're done, Dad says. Sit down. Marcus shakes Dad's arm off. Well, I'll do better than sit down. Now there are tears in Marcus's eyes as he turns to Lev. I love you. Well, and I know this is your special day, but I can't be part of this. He hurls the champagne glass against the wall. That's what it sounded like. Where it shatters, spraying fragments of crystal all over the buffet table. Then he turns and storms out with such steady confidence in his stride that Lev realizes he's not drunk at all. What? Well, then what was the voice for? I guess he just sounds like that. Lev's father signals the band, and they kick into a dance number not even before Marcus is gone from the huge room. People begin to fill the void of the dance floor, doing their best to make an awkward moment go away. I'm sorry about that, Lev, his father tells him. Why don't you go dance? But Lev finds he doesn't want to dance anymore. The desire he had to be the center of attention left along with his brother. I'd like to walk to Pastor Dan, if that's all right. Of course it is. Of course it is. His dad and Lev sound similar. Lev sounds weird, but that's because he's 18. His voice changed. He used to be like, but now he's like, oh yeah. Anyways, Pastor Dan has been a friendly family friend since before Lev was born, and he has always been much easier to talk to than his parents about any subject that required patience and wisdom. The banquet hall is too loud, too crowded, so they go outside to the patio overlooking the country's golf club course. Are you getting scared? Pastor Dan asks. He's always been able to figure out what's on Lev's mind. Lev nods. I thought I was ready. I thought I was prepared. It's natural. Don't worry about it. But it doesn't ease the disappointment Lev feels in himself. He had his entire life to prepare for this. It should have been enough. But he knew it was a little, he was a scythe from the time he was little. You're special, his parents always told him. Your life will be to serve God and mankind. He doesn't remember how old he was when he found out exactly what that meant for him. Have kids in school been giving you a hard time? No more than usual, Lev tells him. It's true. All of his life he's had to deal with kids who resented him because grown-ups treated him as if he was special. There were kids who were kind and kids who were cruel. That was life. It did bother him, though, when kids called him things like dirty unwind, as if he was like those other kids whose parents signed the unwind orders to get rid of them. That couldn't be farther from the truth for Lev. He is his family's pride and joy, straight A's in school, MVP in Little League, just because he's to be unwound does not mean, just because he's about to be unwound does not mean that he's an unwind. There are, of course, a few other Thais at this school, but they're all from other religions. So Lev has never felt a real sense of what? The camaraderie for them. I probably heard that word, but I've never seen it spelled. I don't know. Camaraderie. That's a word. I'm reading it. With them. He's never felt a real sense of camaraderie with them. The huge turnout of tonight's party testifies how many friends Lev has, but they're not like him. Their lives will always be in an undivided state. Their bodies and their futures are their own. Lev has always felt closer to God than to his friends, or even his family. He often wonders if being chosen always leaves a person so isolated. Or is there something wrong with him? I've been having a lot of wrong thoughts, Lev tells Pastor Dan. There are no wrong thoughts. Only thoughts that lead to being worked through and overcome. I've just been feeling jealous of my brothers and sisters. I keep thinking of how the baseball team's gonna miss me. I know it's an honor and a blessing to be a Thais, but I can't stop wondering why it has to be me. Pastor Dan, who has always been good at looking people in the eye, now looks away. It was decided before you were born. It's not anything you did or didn't do. The thing is, I know tons of people with big families. Pastor Dan nodded. Yes, it is very common these days. Yes, it's very common these days. That's what he sounds like. But lots of those people don't tithe at all. Even families in our church. And nobody blames them. There are also people who tithe their first, second, or third child. Every family must make a decision for itself. Your parents waited a long time before making the decision to have you. Lev reluctantly nods, knowing it's true. He was a true tithe, with 5 natural siblings, plus 1 adopted, and 3 that arrived. By stork. No, that wasn't him talking. By stork. Lev was exactly 1/10. His parents had always told him that that made him all the more special. I'll tell you something, Lev, Pastor Dan says, finally meeting his eye. Like Marcus, his eyes are moist, just one step short of tears. I've watched all your brothers and sisters grow, and although I don't like paying favorites, I think you are the finest of them all in so many ways. I wouldn't even know where to start, but that's what God asked for, you know. Not first fruits, but the best fruits. Thank you, sir. Pastor Dan always knows what to say to make Lev feel better. I'm ready for this. And saying it makes him realize that in spite of his fears and misgivings, he truly is ready. This is everything he has lived for. Even so, his tithing party ends much too soon. Sorry, I just have to clear my throat. In the morning, the Calders have to eat breakfast in the dining room with all the leaves in the table. All of Lev's brother and sisters are there. Only a few of them still live at home, but today they've all come over for breakfast. All of them, that is, except Marcus, who wasn't really drunk, but I still did the voice for. Yet for such a large family, it's usually quiet, and the clatter of silverware on china makes the laugh of conversation even more conspicuous. Lev, dressed in his silk tithing whites, eats carefully, so as not to leave any stains on his clothes. After breakfast, the goodbyes are long, full of hugs and kisses. It's the worst part. Lev wishes they could have just let him go and get the goodbyes over with. Pastor Dan arrives. He's come at Lev's request, and once he's there, the goodbyes move more quickly. Nobody wants to waste the pastor's valuable time. Lev is the first one out in his dad's Cadillac, And although he tries not to look back as his father starts the car and drives away, he can't help it. He watches as his home disappears behind them. I, I will never see that home again, he thinks, but he pushes the thought out of his mind. It's unproductive, unhelpful, selfish. He looks at Pastor Dan, who sits beside him in the back seat watching him, and the pastor smiles. It's all right, Lev, he says. Just hearing him say it makes it so. How far is the harvest camp? Lev asks to whoever cares to answer. It's about an hour from here, his mom says. And will they do it right away? His parents look to each other. I'm sure it'll be an orientation, says his father. The short answer makes it so clear that Lev that they don't know any more than he does. As they pull onto the interstate, Lev rolls down the window to feel the wind on his face and closes his eyes to prepare for himself. This is what I was born for. It's what I've lived my life for. I am chosen, I am blessed, and I am happy. Suddenly his father slams on the brake. That's my brake sound again. With his eyes closed, Lev doesn't see any reason for their unexpected stop. He just feels the sharp deceleration of the Cadillac and the pull of his seatbelt on his shoulder. He opens his eyes to see that they have stopped on the interstate. Police lights flash in. Was that a gunshot he just heard? What's going on? Then, just outside his window, is another kid, a few years older than him. He looks scared. He looks dangerous. Lev reaches over to quickly put up his window, but before he can, the kid reaches in, pulls up on the lock on the door, and tugs the door open. Lev is frozen, and he doesn't know what to do. Mom? Dad? He calls. The boy, with murder in his eyes, tugs on Lev's white silk shirt, trying to pull him out of the car, with the seatbelt holding tight. What are you doing? Leave me alone! Lev's mom screams for his father to do something, but he's fumbling with his own seatbelt. The maniac reaches over and in one swift motion unclips Lev's seatbelt. Pastor Dime grabs at the intruder, who responds with a quick, powerful punch. Ooh, that must have hurt. A jab right at Pastor Dan's jaw. The quick shock of seeing such violence distracts Lev at a crucial moment. The maniac tugs on him again, and this time Lev falls out of the car, hitting his head on the pavement. When he looks up, he sees his father finally getting out of the car, where the kid swings the door hard against him, sending him flying. Dad! Dad. That's what he sounds like. His father lands in the path of an oncoming car. The car swerves and, thank God, misses him. But it cuts off another car, hitting it, and then the car spins out of control, and the sound of crashes fills the air. Lev is pulled to his feet again by the kid, who grabs Lev's arm and drags him off. Lev is small for his age. The kid is a couple of years older and much bigger. Lev can't break free. Stop, yells Lev. You can have whatever you want. Take my wallet, he says, even though he has no wallet. Take the car. Just don't hurt anyone. The kid considers the car, but only for an instant. Bullets now fly past them. On the southbound roadway are policemen who have finally stopped traffic on the other side of the interstate and have made it into the median dividing the north and southbound lanes. The closest officer fires again. The tranq bullet hits the Cadillac and splatters. The crazy kid now puts Lev into a chokehold, holding Lev between himself and the officers. Lev realizes that he doesn't want a car or money. He wants a hostage. What does he sound like? Stop struggling! I've got a gun! And Lev feels the kid poke him in the side. Lev knows it's not a gun. He knows it's just the kid's finger, but this is clearly an unstable individual, and he doesn't want to set him off. I'm worthless as a human shield, Lev says, trying to reason with him. Those are tranq bullets they're shooting, which means the cops don't care if they hit me. They'll knock me out. Better you than me. Bullets fly past them as they wind around, swerving traffic. Please, you don't understand. You can't take me now. I'm being tithed. I'll miss my harvest. You'll ruin everything. And finally, a hint of humanity comes to the maniac's eyes. You're in unwind. There are a million more things to be furious about, but Lev finds himself being himself incensed by what he's been called. I'm a tithe, a blaring horn, and Lev turns to see a bus bearing down on them. Before either of them has a chance to scream, the bus careens off the road to avoid them and smashes head on against the fat trunk of a huge oak, stopping the bus cold. There's blood over the smashed windshield. It's the bus driver's blood. He hangs halfway through, and he's not moving. "Oh, crap!" says the maniac, a creepy whine in his voice. The girl has just stepped out of the bus. The crazy kid looks at her, and Lev realizes that now, while he's distracted, is the last chance he's going to have to get away. The kid is an animal. The only way to deal with him is for Lev to become an animal himself. So Lev grabs the arm that's locked around his neck and sinks his teeth into it with the full force of his jaws, until he tastes blood. The kid screams, letting go, and Lev bolts away, racing towards his father's car. As he nears it, a back door opens. It's Pastor Dan's opening the door to receive him, yet the expression of the man's face is anything but happy. With his face already swelling from the crazy kid's brutal punch, Pastor Dan says with a hiss and strange warble to his voice, "Run, Lev!" No, "Run, Lev!" He wasn't expecting this. "What?" "Run! Run as fast as you can, and as far as you can. Run!" Lev stands there, impotent, unable to move, unable to process this. Why is Pastor Dan telling him to run? Then comes a sudden pain in his shoulder, and everything starts to spin round and round, and down a drain into darkness. Okay, that was chapter 3.